Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, written and directed by Quentin Tarantino, takes place in 1969 Hollywood. Leonardo Dicaprio plays Rick Dalton, an actor with a career that he's desperately been clinging to, but is ultimately fading. He was once a star of a 1950s Western TV show called Bounty Law, but since then his career hasn't quite gone as he would have liked. He's assisted by his stuntman Cliff Booth, played by Brad Pitt, who's his wingman and best friend. As the two try to navigate Hollywood during this difficult time, they also realize that there's some unexpected things happening nearby. Alright, so Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a very difficult film to provide a plot summary for because there isn't really a clear plot. I think this is probably the least structured Tarantino film that I've seen because the film doesn't necessarily feel like it's ever really moving towards any one direction. It feels like there's a lot of moments, scenes that show certain things that are interesting, but don't really progress the plot in any clearly identifiable way. I was excited to see this movie because I've really enjoyed every Tarantino movie I've seen so far, with Django being my favorite. I couldn't resist the cast that has Leo, Brad Pitt, and Margot Robbie. I mean, those are three of the best actors working today, and I was excited to see what they could bring to their roles. I think if I had to sum up my thoughts on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I'd say that I liked it, but not quite as much as I would have liked. But I do think it's a good film, and I don't regret going to see it. I think the biggest issue I have with the film is both the length and the structure. There's several scenes I'd say that accumulate probably to like 45 minutes of this movie that could probably be cut, and it wouldn't really impact the story much at all. This is a very heavy runtime at about 2 hours and 45 minutes, and I definitely feel as if the film, felt that and it went on too long. I think there were some cool scenes that were either tense or funny or dramatic or any combination of the three, but I think there were also stretches that, felt a little bit redundant or flat out unnecessary. As an example, there's a lot of scenes where Leo's character is sort of going through the motions of being an actor and he's struggling with all that and he's trying to overcome it and then rinse and repeat that. You also see Brad Pitt's character go through some struggles of not being able to find work, being sort of aimless and so forth, and it drags. I mean, there's also scenes with Sharon Tate that don't ever feel like they lead much of anywhere. And I think that Tarantino wrote something that's very different than the typical film you'd see in theaters today, and it does work. But I think by dialing it back a bit and finding that happy middle ground, he could have achieved something a little more consistent entertainment-wise and would have helped the audience feel like they're watching something unique at the same time. There are a lot of things I liked about this film, though. I think the performances are all excellent. I mean, I think Leo is looking at another Oscar nomination, and I think Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie do excellent work with their characters as well. This is mostly Leo's film, though. I mean, he's the lead, and unsurprisingly, the film does focus on him most often. There's long stretches of time where we follow him working on various sets or trying to come to terms with his fading stardom, and there's a lot of really incredible acting happening during these scenes where Leo pulls off like Inception acting, where he's acting as a character, acting as another character, and it's brilliant. Brad Pitt doesn't quite get the same opportunity to shine, but in the screen time he does get, he's awesome. He plays a confident, seasoned stuntman that just sort of the wingman to Rick Dalton. He brings that Brad Pitt swagger to the role, and he does it with a lot of charisma. Margot Robbie is in a similar situation to Brad Pitt. She leaves her stamp on the film, albeit with not that much to do. She plays a happy-go-lucky Sharon Tate that's very kind, very outgoing, and is just living her life happily. They do some interesting things with her in this film, taking her in some interesting directions, and it's cool. But yeah, all the performances are great. Something else I really love was the production design. Tarantino really went all out making the film as authentic as possible. It seems like an old school style of filmmaking, a strategy that's different today, where CGI has become the standard, but a lot of the sets were built from scratch to look like the 1960s Hollywood sets. The characters, the outfits, the backdrops, the equipment, even the cars, everything about this movie screams 1960s Hollywood, and it comes across as very loving on Tarantino's part. You've probably heard that the film feels like a love letter to Hollywood, to old Hollywood rather, and I'd say that's probably a fair statement based on my read of the film. You've also probably heard that the film really does deliver something special in the last 20 minutes. It does. The last 20 minutes of this movie include some very Tarantino moments, and they're honestly some of his best. It's just anarchy that quickly gets out of control, really, and it becomes hilarious after a while. I honestly wish we had more moments like this sprinkled in spots throughout the film, and I think that's why I actually like Django so much, because it delivers so much fun over the course of the film, and it's not all just at the end. I also think that Django is probably a little bit funnier of a film too. There are definitely some funny moments, but I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood focuses more on production and aesthetics and characters more than comedy. But overall, I did enjoy it. I don't think it's one of Tarantino's best, but it's good. As for the pros cons, for the pros, I think the performances are all excellent. The production/set design is outstanding. The characters are all very interesting, and the last 20 minutes is just pure craziness. As for the cons, the movie is too long, and I wasn't crazy about the structure. I'm still going to give Once Upon a Time in Hollywood an 8 out of 10 and recommend you check it out in theaters. It's a good film if you have the time to dedicate to the theater experience. So did you guys see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood yet? What did you think of it? And if not, let me know why not. Also, let me know your favorite Tarantino film. For me, it's Django, like I mentioned. I just feel like that one is a total package. Fun, excitement, comedy, good performances. It really does have it all. Either way, this is WillFoxification signing off. See you in the next review.